In the second video, we're going to be doing graphs with our qualitative data. Remember, we had Chifaru throwing a party, and she wanted to find out what kinds of ice cream she should buy. After asking her friends, she got the data, which is kind of messy, but she had it written down, so she could organize it into our list. She then calculated a table, found out there were 6 variable values. There were 30 people coming to the party. Half of them wanted vanilla, so that's 50%. About 23.3% wanted chocolate, 13.3% wanted strawberry, and then there were some various others. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at a visualization of this data in 2 different ways. First a pie chart, then a bar chart. The basics of a pie chart go like this. We're going to draw a circle, a pie. This pie is going to represent the entire data set. So the entire pie is 100% of the data. Then we slice the pie so that the size of each slice is going to be the size of a particular data value. And the size of the slice is the size of that value in the entire data set. Or another way of saying it, the size of the slice is going to be equal to the relative frequency of that variable. For example, vanilla was half of the data set, so vanilla's slice will be half of the pie. Chocolate's was about 23%, so its slice will be 23% of the pie, etc. I used a computer to generate one of these, and it looks as follows. So here is my computer-generated pie chart. Vanilla's 50%, chocolate's 23.3%, Rocky Road and coffee were each at 3.3%. Green tea was each equal to those put together. Strawberry is about twice of what green tea is. So, and this is kind of a nice visualization. We see which one is the largest right away. We see which one is the next largest right away as well. So the smaller the slice, the less that flavor of ice cream is preferred. We could probably get away at this point with vanilla and chocolate. That's going to cover about 3/4 of the people. If we throw in the strawberry, we'll get a pretty large portion of the people coming to the party. Now, one problem with pie charts is that the pie is 100% of the data. So we can only use them if we use 100% of the data. We have to have the entire pie, right? If I throw away these guys, I'll end up with a missing slice of my pie, and all of a sudden the graph looks pretty terrible. It looks like a Pac-Man. If you guys remember what a Pac-Man is. Another thing that seems to be a little silly at first glance is that pie charts don't really work very well in black and white. Right? The grays really kind of start blending together after a while, particularly if there's a lot of different slices. So if you're going to be making a presentation that's going to go into, say, a newspaper or in a published article, a pie chart in gray, it looks pretty bland. Right? The color one looked fine, but this is not very interesting to look at. So in terms of the visualization, pie charts work great in color, not so good in black and white. Another way of visualizing this is with something called a bar chart. In this case, a bar chart, what we do is we make little X and Y axes, and we make bars that are appropriate height for our variable values. Okay. Now, the bar charts are going to have some advantages that I'm going to talk about later. It's not quite as intuitive as a pie chart, but it's a little more flexible. So here's our data listed in a bar chart. This is called a vertical bar chart because our bars are vertical. What we did is on the x-axis, we placed our variable values, right, labeled as flavor. What did we measure down here? On the y-axis, we counted our frequency. So we took the frequency column out of our frequency table and placed it on the y-axis, right? Chocolate, we had 7 data points. We had 15 for vanilla. We had 4 for strawberry, 2 for green tea, 1 for coffee, 1 for Rocky Road. Now this is very nice because it allows for quick visual inspection of which one is the biggest, right? Vanilla, that's a really big bar, so that's going to be our most popular. Chocolate is the next biggest one, etc. Strawberry after that, and these guys are much smaller. So this gives a nice quick visual inspection about which one is the largest. Right? And we don't need to read the table, we don't need to read the numbers, we don't need to go back to the data set. It's a quick vanilla, chocolate, then strawberry. It's really easy to pick up what's going on here. So this is a really nice visualization of the data. A similar bar chart can also be made with the percentage. Now, 50% of the data was vanilla, about 23.3% was chocolate, 13% strawberry. So in this case, our bar chart was built using the relative frequencies. Now you'll notice the bars themselves don't look like they changed at all. In fact, they didn't. The only thing we changed is the scale on the y side. This is very useful if we have a lot of data. If Chief-a-Roo was having 1 million people show up to the party, the frequency values are not going to be very useful because there's going to be millions and millions of points. So maybe we just care about the percentage. The only thing we lose by using the percentage instead of the frequency is exactly how many data points we have in our data set. And that is why we usually like to have that information somewhere in the title. I didn't put one on here, and I really should. Now another visualization for a bar chart is called a horizontal bar chart. It's called a horizontal bar chart because the bars go horizontally. All we do is change which axis has our variable values and which has our frequency or relative frequency. Otherwise, it's simply the same information, and we get the same information out of it. The largest bar is the largest one, second largest is the second most frequent, etc. One of the big advantages of bar charts is that since we're not locked into having the pie be the whole piece, bar charts can be only used with part of the data. In this case, since chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry were the most common, I made a bar chart that is perfectly understandable using only those variable values. I threw away the 3 least common, and I still have a perfectly readable bar chart. And bar charts are also easily perfectly understood in black and white versus color, right? The color doesn't, it makes it a little more visually interesting, but we don't need it to help gain insight into the information. We have nice separation for our variable values, so we don't need the extra color. So look over the book in this section and do the examples asked, and we will see you in class.